far away from the busy core of the galaxy, where ships flew in tight lanes and trade stations lit up like stars. There was a quiet moon named Delta IV. It had no real cities, no visitors, and only one small human outpost, people in the central. Systems didn't even remember it existed. But everything changed one day, and it started with a simple signal. It was supposed to be a normal operation. Dozens of ships from many alien species gathered near the edge of neutral space for a huge test. It was a practice run, a way to show unity, strength, and coordination. The Galactic Council had planned it for months. Ships from the Ulari, Vexen, Dren, and even the calm-minded Joran were lined up and ready. Their engines were charged, communication channels were open, weapons were off, as a sign of peace. At the exact same moment, every ship was meant to jump through hyperspace together, a symbol of trust and power. But the jump never happened. Instead, every ship froze, engines stopped, lights flickered, control panels went dark, emergency systems failed, pilots screamed over comms. But no one heard them. The entire fleet was stuck. Thousands of ships hung in space like dead metal, drifting and helpless, and somewhere in the middle of the blackout, a strange, repeating signal began to play across subspace. It was human. On the dusty surface of Moon Delta IV, Tom sat alone in a metal station built before he was born. His job was simple: watch old human relay buoys, report if anything strange happened, and make sure the signal lines stayed clean. Nothing exciting ever happened. He was usually bored. That day, though, something strange lit up on his screen. Subspace interference, he said, rubbing his eyes. The signal looked like a loop. One tone, repeating again and again. Not fast, not loud, just steady, almost like a heartbeat. He checked the source. His eyebrows rose. It's coming from here? The signal wasn't from space. It wasn't coming from a ship or a satellite. It was being broadcast from under the surface of the moon, beneath the station. Tom's fingers moved fast across the controls. He dug into the records. There was no mention of any subspace transmitter. Buried below, nothing that powerful. And yet, the signal was real. It pulsed in every known band, bouncing through relay nodes that hadn't activated in years. He called Earth Command. No reply. He checked the local buoy network. All quiet. He leaned back in his chair and stared at the signal. Then a warning popped up. Subspace interruption detected. Galaxy-wide interference. Tom blinked. Wait, this thing's jamming the whole network. He checked the galactic data stream. Ships were frozen all across nearby space. Fleets were stuck. No one could send or receive messages. Everything was being blocked by a signal that wasn't even encrypted. Just a simple tone. One word flashed on his screen. Ping-7. It meant nothing to him. But someone, somewhere, had set it up long ago. And now it was live. On the Vexen command cruiser. Admiral Vera slammed her hand against the console. Nothing responded. Her voice echoed through the silent bridge. Who has control of the systems? No one answered. Around her, officers stared in panic. Their ship, one of the largest in the galaxy, was dead in the water. The jump had failed. Their shields were offline. Even the doors wouldn't open unless forced. Check all sources. She growled. Find the origin. A Dren technician whispered. It's coming from human space. Vera's eyes narrowed. Impossible. They don't have this kind of power. The technician looked nervous. We traced the signal. It's not just human. It's ancient, old code, from before the council even formed. That made the entire bridge go quiet. Tom stood outside the station now, dressed in his dusty suit. The weak sun lit the gray surface of the moon. He looked down at the cracked ground. Somewhere beneath his feet, a machine was running, and it was affecting the entire galaxy. He pulled out a small scanner and moved it across the ground. The closer he got to the edge of the station, the louder the signal became. His handheld device started to shake from the power. It didn't make sense. There was no record of anything down here. No reactor. No transmitter. Nothing. He walked a little farther, toward a patch of ground that looked different, smoother, darker. The scanner beeped wildly. Then a voice spoke behind him. step away from the surface. Tom turned quickly, for figures stood at the edge of a nearby hill. They weren't human. One was tall and covered in smooth blue armor Joran. Another had many arms and bright red eyes Vexen. The others were a Dren technician and a smaller alien from the Centauri. Tom raised his hand slowly. "You're not supposed to be here." The Joran answered, "Neither is that signal." The Vexen stepped forward. "Turn it off." Tom looked confused. "I didn't turn it on." Then explain how a human signal just shut down every ship in the sector. Tom opened his mouth to answer, but he had no explanation. He looked down again at the strange patch of ground. "I think someone buried something here a long time ago." The Centauri pulled out a scanning tool and pointed it at the ground. "It's not just a transmitter. It's a control node. It's waking up other systems." "What systems?" Tom asked. The Centauri's voice was quiet. "All of them, from space." The signal spread like ripples in water. Old relay stations flickered to life. Some hadn't activated in over 100 years. But now they responded to the same signal ping 7 every time it echoed. Another system went silent. Across the galaxy, panic grew. But on Moon Delta 4, a human stood at the center of it all, without knowing why, and the rest of the galaxy had just realized the smallest signal from Earth could shake the stars. Tom had never been on another planet. He had never met an alien in person either. His whole life had been quiet, simple, and mostly spent in dusty outposts fixing old human tech. Now, 4 aliens stood in front of him, watching him like he had just fired a weapon at the stars. He hadn't done anything. He only discovered the signal, still. The tall Joran with the glowing visor didn't blink. "You are coming with us," he said. Tom glanced at the signal scanner still shaking in his hand. The tone was still pulsing from beneath the ground, soft but steady. "I didn't send it," Tom said. The Vexen narrowed her red eyes. "But it listens to you." They didn't ask again. They brought a small shuttle down and took Tom aboard. The shuttle rose above the dusty moon. Through the window, Tom saw the quiet landscape vanish under the clouds. As they broke through the sky, the stars came into view, and so did something more worrying. Huge ships floated above. Dozens of alien vessels hovered in orbit, silent and stuck. Their lights flickered. Their engines were dark. Most of them had weapons, but none were powered. Tom saw one ship, the size of a small city, just drifting slowly. "They're still jammed," he said. The Centauri nodded. She was shorter than the others, with glowing stripes on her face and sharp fingers. Her voice was calm. "Yes, and the signal is getting stronger." They docked with a science vessel, a neutral ship meant for research, not war. Inside, the halls were white and clean, filled with blinking lights and machines that hummed gently. The crew was mixed, from many species, all moving with purpose. They led Tom to a room with a large screen, where the signal pattern repeated over and over. Lena, the Centauri, stepped forward and began to explain. "This signal is not a weapon," she said. "It's not trying to destroy anything, but it activates old codes, hidden ones." Tom listened carefully. "What kind of codes?" Lena showed him an image of an old human satellite during your early space years. Humans launched many probes. Some were for exploration, others were for defense. A few had something else, dead protocols. Tom frowned. "I've heard that term. Like emergency orders?" Lena nodded. Double quotes, "Yes. Silent systems that only wake up when something specific happens. This one is called Dead Hand Echo." Tom stared at the screen. "So what does it do?" "It takes control," Lena said, "over any system that shares its design. And over time, many species copied human frameworks without knowing." The idea made Tom uncomfortable. "You're saying this signal is waking up control codes inside other ships, even alien ones?" Lena turned to face him. "Yes, the galaxy adopted human tech in small pieces. Navigation, shields, some power cores. It was efficient. But no one realized some of those systems still had roots in your old relay designs." Tom stepped back, feeling the weight of the words. "So now one human signal is freezing everything," the Vexen added, "and only you were near the source. They ran tests. They tried blocking the signal. They failed. They tried sending countersignals. The system adapted. The signal was not only old, but smart. It seemed to learn how to stay active. At one point, Lena turned to Tom and asked him to speak near the relay control. Why? He asked. It might respond to your voice, she said. Tom stepped forward. He felt silly, but he spoke. This is Technician Tom Weller, Station Delta 4. Can anyone hear me? Nothing happened at first. Then the signal changed. The pulse slowed down. The tone shifted slightly. Everyone in the room stared at the monitor. Lena's eyes widened. It heard you. The others stood still. Tom swallowed hard. I'm just a tech guy. I don't control anything. But you were born on Earth, Lena said. You might carry the right code. The system might see you as authorized. Tom couldn't believe it. A forgotten system, buried under a moon, was now treating him like its operator. Later, in a quiet room, Tom sat alone and thought about what was happening. He didn't ask for this. He didn't cause this. But now, the entire galaxy was stuck, and somehow he was in the center of it. He looked out the window again. Alien ships still floated, trapped by a signal no one could stop. Then he noticed something new. A small blinking light on his datapad. A message. He opened it. Incoming request from Moon Delta 4. Relay core interface active. Pressed the key. A line of text appeared. Welcome, operator. Awaiting command. His heart skipped. Operator. He typed a response. Who built you? The answer came quickly. Earth Defense Command. Year 2141. Project Pinkton had never heard of it. He checked the date. That was over 150 years ago. What is your purpose? To protect human space. To control link systems. To wait for activation. Tom stared at the screen. It made sense now. The satellite wasn't broken. It was waiting for someone to find it. It was sleeping until someone woke it up. And now it had chosen him. In another part of the science vessel, leaders from different species gathered in a private room. Tension filled the air. He must shut it down, said the Joran officer. Now. But if he does, said the Dren delegate, what else might activate? We don't understand this technology. We should learn more first. The Vexen commander slammed her fist on the table. This is human control over our systems. If they built one, how many more are out there? Lena spoke calmly. I believe Tom is telling the truth. He didn't cause this. He's not a threat. Then, who is? That question hung in the air. Because if this signal wasn't just a random accident, then someone long ago designed it for a reason. And if that reason had finally arrived, the galaxy might never be the same. The Galactic Council was breaking apart. What was meant to be a peaceful demonstration of unity had turned into a disaster. The signal that froze every ship was still active, and no one knew how to stop it. The different species started to blame each other. Inside the Council's emergency chamber, leaders from across the galaxy argued in loud voices. You said your engineers double-checked the data lines, shouted the Vexen ambassador, pointing across the table at the Ulari. Our systems are clean, replied the Ulari with a hard stare. But your people copied human processors in your last upgrade. Maybe the fault lies with you. The Joran High Visor spoke next, his voice calm but firm. This is not the time for blame. We need answers. If humans created this signal, we must speak with Earth directly. The Dren speaker shook her head. Earth Command says they didn't launch anything. They claim the system is ancient, and now it's been activated by mistake. Or on purpose, said the Vexen. Perhaps humans planned this for a long time, waiting for a moment to show power. They are not even part of the council anymore, added another. Why would they do this now? The room grew quiet. For a moment, then a new voice spoke. They may not have meant to do it, but they now hold the key. Everyone turned toward the speaker. It was Lena, the Zentari linguist and systems expert, who had been studying the signal closely. And who holds this key? Asked the Joran. Lena answered clearly, a human technician. His name is Tom. Tom sat in the science vessel's observation deck. He could see stars stretching in all directions, and ships still floating like statues in space. None of them moved. Some had small lights blinking, but not one could use engines, weapons, or advanced tools. The signal had frozen all of it. He didn't know how to feel. He never trained for this. He fixed old panels, checked power cores, cleaned dust from wires. Now people thought he was responsible for a galactic blackout. He remembered the message on his datapad. Welcome, operator. Awaiting command. He hadn't answered it since. He was afraid. What if one wrong command caused more damage? What if it made things worse? Lena entered the room. You look tired, she said. I can't sleep, Tom replied. She sat beside him. The council is divided. Some think humans planted this on purpose. Others think it's an accident. All of them are scared. I'm scared too, said Tom. Lena looked at him seriously. But I believe you. I've studied the signal. It's not aggressive. It doesn't destroy. It controls. It's not shutting things down to attack. It's awaiting. Tom turned to her. Waiting for what? Lena hesitated. I think it's a shield, a kind of digital barrier, made to stop ships, freeze systems, and prevent action, but only if something dangerous happens. Tom frowned. So, a defense mechanism? Yes. Lena nodded, and somehow it chose to activate now. Back at the council chamber, pressure was rising. The Vexen demanded military action. If the humans don't shut it down, we will storm the moon and destroy the source. The Dren warned that attacking the relay might cause the signal to spread faster. We don't know what backups exist, she said. There could be other systems hidden across human space. The Joran offered a middle path. Let us send a small team, speak with the human technician, study the system further, then decide. No one agreed fully. Trust was falling apart. Ships from different species began pulling away from the main fleet. They returned to safe zones. Old enemies eyed each other once again. What had started as a united force was now turning into scattered, nervous groups. The galaxy was splitting. In the lab, Lena pulled up a new signal map. She showed Tom a glowing chart of all the relay points now activating. There were more, she said. We thought only one satellite was sending the signal. But it's not alone. Tom leaned in. How many? At least 12, Lena answered. All from human colonies, all buried in forgotten systems, and all waking up now. Tom shook his head slowly. This wasn't a bug. It was planned. Lena looked at him with concern. You said you didn't activate it. I didn't, Tom replied. But maybe it didn't need me to start. Maybe it just needed someone to be close, someone human. They stared at the screen. The map showed the signal spreading through subspace, jumping from relay to relay like a chain reaction. Every time it hit a system, the same thing happened: shutdown, lockout, control. It was not a weapon. It was a master key. Suddenly, alarms rang through the ship. A voice called over the intercom. Unidentified vessel approaching. Not responding to hails, Lena and Tom rushed to the bridge. On the main screen, a large ship appeared. It was dark, without signal lights or colors. That's not council design, the captain said. Tom stepped closer to the screen. That's human. The ship looked old. Its armor was thick and gray. No markings, no flags, just one word on the side. Faded from age. ARKOS-3. Lena ran a quick check. It's a deep space explorer. Sent out 100 years ago. No one ever heard from it again. The ship moved slowly toward the science vessel. Still no message. Still no sign of crew. Then a ping arrived on Tom's datapad. Link request from ARKOS-3. Authenticate. Human operator requirements. Hand shook. He tapped the screen. A new message appeared. You have been recognized. Welcome back, operator. He looked at Lena. This is bigger than we thought. Meanwhile, in the shadows of space, someone else was watching. On a small hidden ship, far from the council fleet, a lone figure sat in darkness. He was not part of any government, not a scientist, not a soldier. His name was Roan, a cyborg from a forgotten trading guild. He smiled as he watched the signal map on his own screen. At last, he whispered, "It begins." The science vessel hung silently in space, surrounded by powerless ships and confused captains. On board, Tom stood at the main console, still staring at the message on his screen. Welcome back. Operator, the old human ship, ARKOS-3, floated just beyond the window. It had not answered any messages. No one on the bridge could contact it, but somehow it had connected directly to Tom's device. It recognized you, Lena said softly. Tom looked up. I've never even heard of this ship. Lena stepped forward. Maybe you haven't, but it knows your voice, your DNA, your presence. It's acting like you're someone in command. The captain of the science vessel, a tall gray Jorn, narrowed his eyes. If he is in command, ask him what it wants. Tom looked down at his screen again. He typed a message. What are you? The reply came fast. Relay you to ARKOS-3. Assigned to Project Ping. Guardian Protocol. Dead Hand Echo. Lena. Lean closer. I think it's like the satellite under Moon Delta 4, she said. A mobile version. Tom typed again. Why are you active now? The screen paused. Threat level red. Activation triggered by proximity of human operator. Subspace breach detected. Contingency alpha in progress. Lena blinked. What breach? Tom looked at her. I don't know, but it sounds like something scared this system into turning on. The Joran captain crossed his arms. Or someone tricked it into thinking the galaxy was under attack. In the Council's emergency chamber, the pressure was building. News of Arcos-3's appearance reached them quickly. The idea of another human-controlled ship spreading the signal made some members panic. Others stayed silent, listening. One by one, smaller factions began leaving the meeting. Some didn't trust the Council anymore. Others feared the humans had planned this for years. We should strike now, said the Vexen ambassador. Destroy the human relays before they activate more. The Dren disagreed. If the protocol spreads further, it may crash entire networks. Billions of systems rely on shared tech. A Yulari spoke calmly. Then we must ask the humans to help. If this technician, Tom, can control the system, let him shut it down. But not everyone believed Tom was in control, and someone outside the chamber was already making a different choice. Roan sat in the shadows of his hidden ship, his eyes half metal and glowing red. Watch the subspace map. More human relay points. We're lighting up. Arcos-3 had joined the network. He smiled. He had waited a long time for this. Roan wasn't born during the early expansion days, but he had read the old records. He knew about the forgotten ships, the backup systems, and the quiet programs that never truly went offline. He believed in freedom, true freedom, not ruled by fleets, not managed by the Council, not controlled by weapons. And now, with the fleets frozen, the Council divided, and communication cut off, his dream was close. He tapped a button. His small ship, fitted with stealth gear, began its journey toward Tom. Back aboard the science vessel, Lena and Tom sat in the control room. A soft hum filled the air as the ship powered only its basic systems. Do you think this dead hand echo was always meant to be used? Tom asked. Lena folded her hands. I think it was a backup. Something made by humans when they were still afraid. A time when they didn't know who their enemies were. Tom nodded. I've read about those days. Earth was small, alone. They didn't trust anyone. Lena looked at him. And now they accidentally built something that gives them control over almost everything. But it was buried, Tom said. They didn't plan to use it. Maybe, Lena said. Or maybe someone waited for the right moment. Tom looked at the message log again. ARKOS-3 was still connected. The signal was still spreading. He typed again. Can you stop the signal? The answer was short, not without Council code. Shared control required. Tom stared. So it wasn't meant to be human only. Lena smiled. That's something. Then the alarm rang. Unauthorized ship detected. Docking in progress. Everyone on the bridge turned to the screens. A small dark vessel was attaching itself to the lower hatch. No signal. No ID. No warning. Security teams ran to the docking bay. Tom and Lena reached the lower quarter just as the door hissed open. A tall figure stepped through, wearing a black coat with steel armor underneath. One eye glowed red. His face was part machine. Roan, he raised his hands calmly. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to talk. The guards kept their weapons ready. Lena stepped forward. Who are you? Roan smiled. Someone who's been waiting for the system to wake up. Tom narrowed his eyes. You knew about the relay? I knew about all of them, Roan said. I've studied Earth's early deep space designs for years. The moment I saw the first signal, I knew the time had come. What time? Lena asked. Roan looked at her. The time for change. He walked into the room without fear. The Council has ruled for too long. Too many fleets, too many threats, too much fear. But now, no one can fire a weapon. No one can jump away. No one can start a war. Tom shook his head. You're saying this is a good thing? Roan turned to him. This is the best thing that could have happened to the galaxy. He pulled out a small data chip. I came to help you keep the signal running. Tom didn't answer. Roan walked closer. You're not a soldier. You're a technician. You've seen how they treated you. They didn't thank you. They blamed you. But now you have a chance to shape something greater. Tom stepped back. I didn't ask for this. But you're the one the system listens to, Roan said. The guards moved to block him. But Roan didn't flinch. I don't want to hurt anyone. I want to stop the wars before they begin. Keep the signal active. Let the fleet stay frozen. Let the galaxy breathe. Tom looked at Lena. She whispered, It's your choice. Roan extended the chip. You just need to say yes. Outside the ship, more relay points lit up across the stars. The system was growing. The galaxy was watching. And the human at the center of it all had a decision to make. The corridors of the science vessel were tense. Tom stood still, watching. Roan held out the small data chip. It glowed faintly, filled with codes that could keep the signal alive or end it forever. I don't want to hurt anyone, Roan said quietly. I want peace. But peace only comes when no one can start a war. Tom's heart beat fast. He looked at Lena, who stood beside him. Her face was serious but calm. This is not peace. Tom said, It's a lock, a prison for everyone. No one can move, no one can defend. Roan shook his head. It's a chance to stop the endless fighting. When no one can fire first, the whole galaxy has to talk. Lena stepped forward. But what about the Council? What about the people who rely on their ships to protect their homes? Roan smiled. The Council has failed. They protect their own power, not the people. Tom felt torn. Part of him understood Roan's words, but another part feared what would happen if this signal stayed on forever. Why did you come here? Tom asked. To find the operator, Roan said, to make sure the signal doesn't die. Tom shook his head. You don't understand. I don't want this power. Roan's eye glowed brighter. But it's already yours. The system listens to you. It waits for your commands. Suddenly, alarms blared through the ship. The lights flickered. Security forces rushed down the halls. Saboteur detected. A voice called out. Intruder trying to access control systems. Tom looked at Roan, shocked. What is this? Lena asked. Roan smiled. You didn't think I came alone, did you? Back in the hidden ship, Roan's friend watched screen showing the science vessel. She was a skilled hacker known as Mira. Her fingers flew over her controls, ready to go. She said, The lockdown is about to begin. This will shake the Council. Roan nodded. Good. Let the galaxy see that change is coming. On the science vessel, chaos grew. Systems blinked on and off. Some relays in the network activated unexpectedly. Tom and Lena hurried to the control room. The main screen showed a map of the galaxy. More ships were stuck. More colonies were caught in the jamming signal. Someone is trying to make it worse, Lena said. Tom stared at the screen. We need to stop this. Suddenly, a burst of energy pulsed through the ship. The power flickered. Then, the screen went dark. The whole ship was locked down. Roan's voice came through the ship's speaker. You can't stop what has begun. Tom tried to reach the control panel. It wouldn't respond. He looked at Lena. What do we do? We have to find the source, she said. Together. They ran through the ship's narrow halls. They passed security teams, struggling to regain control. In the docking bay, They found Roan standing calmly. "Why are you doing this?" Tom asked. Roan's face was calm but determined. "Because the galaxy needs a new way." Suddenly, the doors behind Roan opened. Mira appeared with a small device. "This will force the signal to spread faster," she said. Tom raised his voice. "Stop! You don't know what will happen." Mira smiled. "That's the point." Before Tom could react, Mira activated the device. The ship shook. The jamming signal spread like wildfire. Outside the ship, distant systems flickered. Ships lost control. Trade routes shut down. Panic spread across colonies. The council scrambled to respond, but their ships remained frozen. On the science vessel, lights flickered again. The ship's AI warned of multiple breaches. Tom felt helpless. "Is this what you wanted?" he asked Roan. "Yes," Roan said. "To break the old order." Tom looked around at the locked systems. "But at what cost?" Lena grabbed Tom's arm. "We have to shut this down before it spreads beyond control." Tom nodded. "But how?" Lena pointed at the main console. "We need to access the relay core under Moon Delta 4. It's the heart of the system." Tom swallowed. "That means going back." The next day, Tom and Lena prepared to leave the ship. Guards watched carefully as they boarded a small shuttle. As they left, Tom looked at the frozen ships around them. The galaxy was trapped by a signal no one could break. "Can we stop this?" Lena asked. Tom didn't answer. He stared ahead at the dark surface of the moon. Deep below, the relay waited. And so did the future of the galaxy. Tom's shuttle landed softly on the dusty surface of Moon Delta 4. The gray ground stretched wide and empty beneath a pale sun. The silence felt heavier than before. Ships drifted frozen in orbit above, their engines dead. The entire galaxy had been stopped by a signal hidden beneath this quiet moon. Lena sat beside him, her fingers tapping nervously on the shuttle's controls. "We don't have much time," she said. "The signal is still spreading. If it reaches more relay points, there will be no turning back." Tom nodded, his eyes fixed on the horizon. "Then we must find the source and shut it down." They stepped out into the cold air. The ground was cracked, worn by years of neglect. Near the old relay station, a small hatch lay partially buried in dust and rock. Tom pulled a tool from his belt and began to pry it open. Inside was a narrow stairwell, leading down into darkness. "Ready?" Lena asked. Tom took a deep breath and nodded. The stairwell led them deep underground to a hidden chamber. Walls were lined with panels covered in blinking lights and wires tangled like roots. The air smelled of metal and old circuits. At the center of the room was the relay core, a large machine humming with faint energy. It pulsed with the same steady tone as the jamming signal. Tom approached carefully. He touched the console. The machine seemed to respond to his presence. The pulse slowed, almost like it recognized him. "This is it," Tom whispered. "The heart of the system." Lena scanned the panels. "It's more advanced than I expected. Almost alive." Tom frowned. "But why was this buried here? Why keep such power hidden?" Lena looked at him. "Maybe it was meant to be a last defense, a final stop to protect humans in the galaxy." Tom pressed a button and brought up the system interface. Codes and commands filled the screen. "We need to disable the jamming signal," Lena said. "But carefully, if we make a mistake, it could trigger more relays." Tom nodded. He began typing commands, trying to find the control override. Suddenly, the screen flashed red. "Warning, unauthorized access detected." The system locked down. The humming grew louder. Tom's heart raced. Lena grabbed his arm. "They're fighting back." Tom's fingers moved faster. "I have to find a manual override." Far above on the surface, the frozen ships twitched as if waking. Signals from other relay points responded to the relay cores. Struggle. The jamming signal was fighting to stay alive. Inside the chamber, the relay core's lights flashed wildly. Panels sparked. The floor vibrated beneath their feet. Tom worked quickly, sweat dripping down his forehead. "Almost there," he muttered. A voice crackled in his ear. It was the ship's AI. "Warning. Security breach detected in sub-level relay chamber. Possible. Hostile presence." Tom glanced at Lena. "Hostile presence?" Could be Roan or his allies trying to stop us, she said. Tom nodded. We must hurry. Back on the science vessel, Roan watched the signal map. His red eye gleamed as new relay points lit up. We are close, he said quietly. Soon, the galaxy will be ours. Mira's hacking team worked furiously to keep the signal growing, pushing through council firewalls and defense systems. But Roan knew this was only the beginning. Back underground, Tom finally found the override panel. He entered the command. The humming slowed. Lights dimmed. For a moment, everything was still. Then the system responded. Override accepted. Disabling jamming signal. Tom exhaled deeply. But the system gave one last pulse. A bright flash of light shot through the room. Tom staggered but caught himself. The humming stopped. The relay core went dark. Above ground, ships twitched again, slowly. Lights flickered on. Engines hummed softly. The jamming signal faded like a waking dream. Tom and Lena climbed the stairs back to the surface. The air felt lighter. The frozen ships above began to move again. A message came through the comm. All systems restored. Signal cleared. Tom smiled. We did it. Lena looked at him. But what now? Tom thought for a moment. We must talk to the galaxy, explain what happened. The council sent a message to the science vessel. Technician Tom, your actions have restored balance. We request your presence at the next Galactic Assembly. Tom nodded slowly. This was only the start. He looked at the stars. The galaxy had been stopped by a simple human signal. Now it was time to heal. Tom sat quietly in the meeting hall of the Galactic Assembly. The room was enormous, filled with beings from every corner of the galaxy. Some had many arms, others had wings, and a few looked almost like humans, but different enough to remind him of his small place. In this vast universe, the silence was deep as all eyes turned to him. The council leaders sat in the front rows, their faces serious but curious. Everyone waited for Tom to speak. He stood slowly and cleared his throat. I'm just a technician. He began. I did not mean to cause all this. I only found the signal and tried to stop it. But what I have learned is that the past has a way of reaching us when we least expect it. He looked around the room. The signal was created by humans long ago as a defense. It was meant to protect, not to control. But over time, it became a chain reaction that could stop the whole galaxy. That was never the plan. A murmur spread through the crowd. Some nodded. Others whispered to their neighbors. Tom continued. This event showed us many things. It showed how connected we all are, how technology from one species can affect another, and how fear can make us blame each other instead of working together. A Joran council member stood. What will you do now? How do we prevent this from happening again? Tom looked thoughtful. We must work together. Share knowledge openly. Create safeguards that everyone understands. Trust must be rebuilt. Lena, standing beside him, added. And we must remember that technology is only as good as the people who control it. We must be careful with power. After the assembly, Tom was invited to visit many worlds. He met leaders, scientists, and young students who wanted to hear his story. Everywhere he went, the message was clear. Unity was more important than ever. Tom found himself changed too. He was no longer just a technician on a small moon. He was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even one person could make a difference. Back on Moon Delta 4, the relay station was repaired and transformed. It was no longer a hidden weapon, but a place for learning and cooperation. Humans and aliens worked side by side to keep it safe and peaceful. Tom often returned there to watch the stars and think about the journey he had been on. The galaxy was vast and full of mystery, but now it was also full of friends. Far away, Roan watched these changes with quiet eyes. He had lost the battle, but not the dream. Change was coming, slowly and carefully. The galaxy was awakening. He smiled and whispered, "This is only the beginning." The human signal had once stopped. The stars. Now it was helping them shine brighter. And that was the true power of unity.